Hello, everyone, and welcome to our latest online event here at the University of California, Merced. We are so excited to have you here this evening for the UC Merced Native American Indigenous Community presentation. My name is Ricky Hill, and I am the e-recruiter here at UC Merced. My personal heritage does also include Cherokee and Choctaw for the Native American heritage, so I'm so happy to be able to open this event for you this evening. Before we get started, let me give you a couple of quick reminders. If you need to adjust your audio settings, you can do so in the lower left corner of your screen. If you'd like to adjust the size of your window, go ahead and click on View Options in the upper portion of your screen. Lastly, and most importantly, if you need to ask us a question, you can do that by clicking the Q&A button that should be located on your screen as well. Go ahead and click that button, send in your question, and we will be getting to those live at the end of this presentation in a live question and answer session. Once again, thank you so much for joining us. We are so thrilled to have you here with us tonight. At this time, I'd like to hand things over to my presenter and my friend, Amanda.
Hello, everyone. My name is Amanda Putnam. I am the Native American and Indigenous Recruitment and Outreach Specialist. My heritage is Chumash from the Santa Barbara area, and I am so excited to be here tonight with you all. I am dual located. I am in the Office of Admissions, but I also am in the Division of Equity, Justice, and Inclusive Excellence. And I am your resource. If you are thinking about applying to UC Merced, I can meet with you and go over your academics and make sure that you are eligible to apply to UC Merced. Once you have applied, then I can help you through that application process. I can help you through the admissions process and be there for you to help you with financial aid, help you with enrolling in your first semester of classes, get you connected with community here on campus. And once you're a student here, I can continue to be that resource for you to make sure that you have all the resources that you need and make your experience here at UC Merced and clear and good one for you. So I'm going to go ahead and continue on and look at our agenda for the night. Opening remarks, that's what I'm doing right now. And then I'm going to be doing our land acknowledgement. We're going to have a welcome from our Director of Admissions, Dustin Noji. And then we are going to have a spotlight from our Division of Equity, Justice, and Inclusive Excellence, a faculty spotlight with two of our amazing Native faculty here on campus, a spotlight of our Native and Indigenous Student Coalition, and then we're going to have a community panel with all of those representatives and a Q&A. So if you have any questions, make sure to put them in the Q&A box on the bottom, and we'll be answering them during the presentation, and then we will also be answering them live as well at the end. So don't be worried. Go ahead and put in any of those questions and we will answer those for you. And then we'll have some closing remarks to let you know about some fun events that are going to be happening in the area. And we'll just end the night out wonderfully. I'm going to go ahead and do the land acknowledgement. We pause to acknowledge all local Indigenous peoples, including the Yokuts and the Miwok, who inhabited this land. We embrace their continued connection to this region and thank them for allowing us to live, work, learn, and collaborate on their traditional homeland. Let us now take a moment of silence to pay respect to their elders and to all Yokuts and Miwok people, past and present. Thank you so much. And now I'm going to hand it over for our welcome from the Director of Admissions, Dustin.
Thank you so much, Amanda. And thank you, our audience and attendees, for participating in tonight's webinar. As Amanda said, I am the Director of Admissions at UC Merced, but once upon a time, not very long ago, I was a student just like you, thinking about where I should consider going to school, just really worried about like what was my next step. Myself personally, I'm from a very small town, a town called Hanford, California, in the middle of the Central Valley. My heritage is Lenape, and I grew up in a very small area with about 30,000 people in a very rural place. And when I was thinking about going to college, it was a big transition for me. It is the first time really away from home, and I went to a very big university. And I remember my very first experience at this big University of California school, there for the first time, almost afraid that maybe they got my name wrong on my admissions letter, waiting in my residence hall, not knowing if I would find someplace on that university to fit in. And that very night, the very first night in my residence halls, I received a knock on my door. And I opened my door to see a group of students standing in front of me, welcoming and congratulating me on my admissions to the University of California. And they said they were from the American Indian Student Association, and they heard that I was another Native student on campus, and they wanted to come talk to me. And from that point forward, I had found my community. And for so many of you who are on tonight's webinar, you're here and we've invited you because you're some of the best and brightest students in California, if not the country, and know that you can be successful at just about any university you think about. But most importantly, what's going to contribute to your success is finding a community that's both supportive in nature, that allows you to thrive, that appreciates who you are and where you come from, and allows you to connect with one another. And that may be your own community, it may be different communities, but part of tonight's diversity engagement series is to allow you to learn about those different communities that exist within our campus, and hopefully get you to know a little bit more about UC Merced and decide if it's the right place for you. I know personally, as someone who was involved in the American Indian Student Association, I wouldn't have been as successful if I didn't have members of my community that were there throughout my entire time at UC and the University of California. Extremely proud that I'm a UC graduate. And throughout that time, that involved many things. It involved being involved in outreach through many different Native clubs and organizations, being a part of things like our Native Youth Conference, planning our powwow, to things that were just things we did for fundraisers each and every day, like making fry bread to sell to support some of our scholarship efforts and different events that we hosted on campus. So on behalf of our community on campus, behalf of the Native staff and faculty, I'm extremely honored to welcome you to our webinar tonight, and we hope to see you on campus in the near future. So I want to tell you a little bit about UC Merced and who we are, because again, it's really important that you find that platform for your success in every University of California campus, regardless if it's Merced or if it's another UC, is extremely prestigious and well known for its academic programs, but also it's well known for supporting its students. And each one of its environments is extremely different. At UC Merced, we like to say that we are a small campus that's known for its community, that's a friendly place, and that's supportive of our students. At about 8,700 undergraduate students and about 9,100 students on campus, there are lots of things to do at UC Merced. When you come to our campus, one of the first things that you'll recognize is that it mirrors the diversity of your schools and the state of California. And it's really a wonderful place to meet other students just like you who are coming to the University of California to pursue their dreams and their next steps in their higher education career. At UC Merced, we're young, just like you. If you can imagine, not too long ago, less than 20 years, the University of California Merced was founded in the middle of Merced, California, with 800 students. And from that time, we've grown to over 9,000 students, and we're now one of the top 100 universities in the entire nation. So much like your trajectory, we've come a long ways, and there's still many other things that we're accomplishing at our institution. And we're super excited to have you today to learn a little bit more about UC Merced and how it can be that platform for your success in the future. So at Merced, as I mentioned before, one of the things that's super important is that the community is both reflective of your values and that it values those within your community. And one of the things at Merced that we first started not too long ago was our Taloma initiative. And through that Taloma initiative, we've been able to put together several different celebrations and different things in place to celebrate Native culture on campus. Our Taloma Grove is a reflection of that initiative that was actually founded not too long ago. The Taloma Grove really celebrates a Native culture and heritage here in the Central Valley. It's a place where students can reflect. It's a place that can be used for hosting special events and community events on campus, and contains many Native plants, and the granite boulders with the plaque acknowledge California Native groups, especially our local Miwok tribes. Taloma, if you don't know this, means Bobcat, and that's why we're so honored to have this space on campus to celebrate Native heritage. Some of the many events that we have that happen on campus is our Taloma 5K run. that's in honor of Native American Heritage Month and takes place during the month of November. Indigenous tribes from California have a strong tradition of distance running, whether it be for communications or competition. And many of the tribes in the Sierra Nevada foothills would designate runners or messengers to keep the network of small communities informed. And so through our Toloma Run, we honor that tradition and also invite different Native groups to come out to campus and to continue to provide that space to celebrate Native heritage and to help educate others about our traditions. And so with that said, there's many other things that take place on campus. One of the most beneficial things that you can be involved in a University of California is some of the student clubs and organizations and the learning that takes place outside of the classroom. One of those spaces is the Native and Indigenous Student Coalition, NISC, who you'll get to hear from some of their members later today, that organizes our Native students around different campus activities and brings together staff and faculty to celebrate and practice our cultural heritage. Another is SACNIS. For those of you who are interested in the sciences or engineering, SACNIS is a national organization dedicated to the success of Hispanic and Chicano and Native engineers and scientists, and have many national conferences to help prepare you as Native youth to go on and advance your future careers. So those are just some of the different organizations and groups that we have on campus. But I would like to hand it off to my colleague, Edith, to talk to you about some of our diversity, equity, justice, and inclusive initiatives on campus.
Thank you, Dustin. Thank you for the introduction. And thank you to the admission folks for inviting me to be here today to share a little bit more about the Division of Equity, Justice, and Inclusive Excellence. As Dustin shared, my name is Edith Ramirez. My pronouns are she, her, and ella, and I'm excited to be talking to all of you. I'm going to start with an overview of our division by going over the mission statement and our vision. So the mission is that we hope to build community and capacity by promoting a model of shared responsibility for equity and inclusion and providing education, resources, and partnership. And we envision that our campus community that both cultivates the well-being of its members and achieves excellence in learning, discovery, and service by intentionally honoring and welcoming diverse contributions and perspectives. So what does this mean for scholars? One of the things that I want to highlight in terms of our division is that we are committed to student success, particularly as it relates to equity, justice, and inclusion, and especially in supporting and elevating the voices of underrepresented scholars. So for that reason, our division recognizes that scholars come from different backgrounds, have experienced different experiences and have different perspectives, and we celebrate those and welcome them here at UC Merced. We also recognize that students may have experienced different challenges or obstacles in their journey to and through higher education, which is why it's our responsibility as a division to make sure that students are getting access to the resources that they need to be successful during their time here on campus. And we want to make sure that all students feel respected, seen, and valued, and feel that they belong here on our campus, which is why I want to tell you today, if there's anything that I want y'all to walk away with today, is to know that you belong on campus, and we're excited to see you all and welcome you to the Bobcat family. So how does our division do this? The student component of our division is kind of a new section of our division, but we already have a few edgy student initiatives that our department helps co-sponsor because we collaborate and partner with a lot of different units on campus. Some of them are listed here, but for the sake of time, I won't go over each of them right now, but there's a few that I would like to highlight. The first one is the Toloma 5K run, which Dustin already spoke about, but that is an event that is co-sponsored by our division. The next one I would like to highlight is the cultural graduation celebrations. So these are things that celebrations that our division helps to co-sponsor. While there is not a specific cultural celebration yet for Native and Indigenous scholars, it is something that is in the works and that we hope to be able to start in the near future. So hopefully when you all come to UC Merced, there will be a cultural celebration for all of you that will be co-sponsored by our division. And the next one that I would like to highlight is the EDGI Champion Undergraduate Awards, which are actually, we're taking nominations currently until April 28th. So this award was established in order to honor the scholars that are currently elevating work around equity, justice, and inclusion. And they will be, they will receive a certificate of recognition along with the gift card. If any of you have any additional questions related to any of the other EDGI student initiatives, you're more than welcome to ask those, and I can answer those later on during the Q&A. And finally, the other thing that I would like to highlight is that we welcome partnership in creating and sponsoring events that advance the mission of our division. So when you all come to UC Merced, if you're interested in starting a new initiative that is going to like elevate, you know, the voices perhaps of underrepresented scholars or anything that really aligns with our mission, students are more than welcome to submit a form for an opportunity for us to help co-sponsor it, that whether that is through funding or maybe even just with supporting the logistics and making sure that that event comes into fruition. And finally, here is my contact information with my email. So feel free to reach out to me if you have any additional questions, and as well as the general email. And then here's our website as well, in case you all want to check out a little bit more about what our division does and learn a little bit more about the other initiatives that maybe I didn't get a chance to speak about. Thank you all for your time. Okay, I'm going to pass it on now to my colleague, Dr. DeLugan.
Hello, I'm Robin DeLugan. I'm professor of anthropology, cultural anthropology at UC Merced. So I arrived to UC Merced in 2006, not in the first year, but in the second year that it was open. So it's been really wonderful to see how much we've grown and growing in our support of our Native students and our Native communities. I just wanted to mention a couple things about my teaching and research, and then I'm going to tell you a little bit about this campus and system-wide work that I'm involved with, which I think is really important. So I'm a cultural anthropologist. My international research has focused on El Salvador, Indigenous peoples' issues in El Salvador and in California. And I teach one class, we are a very small department still. I teach one class on Indigenous activism in the Americas that is popular, and it does give us kind of a hemispheric look at Native people's issues today. So I've also been the faculty advisor for NISC, the Native and Indigenous Student Coalition, another really wonderful organization that I've seen grow on campus. And then in terms of research, our campus, one thing is that everybody's doing research and are learning about research. And when you can do research that matters to you, it's even that much more meaningful. So I have had a chance to work closely with a few undergraduate students, Native undergraduate students, to design wonderful projects, do great projects. I've been really proud that some of the students I've worked with have developed projects as undergraduates that they brought with them to the next steps of their professional career. So that's really exciting, and I'll always look forward to working with students in the classroom or via research. Then I just wanted to mention briefly, we have a slide here about NAGPRA. I'm not sure, I won't go into a lot of detail about NAGPRA, or CalNAGPRA, which is California's more recent version of how do we return ancestral human remains and objects that some of the other UC campuses have. I don't want to spend a lot of time making apologies, but just to say that in the past, things have been collected that now we're trying to return back to their rightful home. And so this is really a kind of a controversial topic in the sense that UC should have been more advanced with this work, and they've kind of got stalled. And so through legislation and this new policy, CalNAGPRA policy, and the University of California policy, we are now all the 10 campuses are working in really lockstep to, advance the return, repatriation, and doing it rapidly, really saying we now have a system in place that is doing really good work, and working with the Native American Heritage Commission as well. It's been really rewarding for me to be part of the UC campus-wide oversight and implementation and oversight of that policy, where I get a chance to engage with leaders of California tribes and with the California Native American Heritage Center to Commission, excuse me, Native American Heritage Commission. And that's it's really important work that's happening, I think. One nice thing about UC Merced is that we are so new that we skipped that whole history of collecting that other universities were deeply involved with up through, like, you know, the mid 20th century. So we've been able to do the right thing and continue to do the right thing. And so it's really my honor to be a part of the group that's kind of shepherding this real important change. And I think it's really also an invitation we have to build and strengthen the relationship that the University of California has with California tribes. It's very important work. So I'm happy to answer any questions about that when we get to the end, or about my teaching and research. I just want to thank you again for being here. It means a lot. And I'm going to turn this over now to my colleague, Dr. Blythe George, Assistant Professor of Sociology.
Hello, thank you so much for the chance to speak today. My name is Dr. Blythe George, and I'm an assistant professor of sociology. I am a member of the Yurok tribe, which is the largest tribe in California, originally from McKinleyville, California, which is located up in Humboldt County, way far north. If you're familiar with the state generally, it's a privilege to be in my second year now. I'm still pretty new to be in this side of the PhD. I was a COVID graduate. I have a PhD in sociology and social policy from from Harvard University. And I attended Dartmouth College for undergrad. And I'm going to loop back on that because I kind of wanted to just take a moment to reflect on my journey to this point so far, but also shout out Dartmouth network is big. But before I kind of give you a little bit of a journey and some wisdom from this point in my career so far, I did want to tell you more about what I do on campus. As I said, I'm in my second year. I am it feels very interesting because I came on during COVID. And so my first couple semesters on campus were a really kind of unique hybrid of Zoom and then transitioning into full-time teaching. And so this is my first semester. It feels like being all the way professor, so to speak. And I have the privilege this semester of teaching urban inequality. It is kind of a survey of a subdiscipline or subfield, excuse me, in the discipline of sociology, looking at areas like Chicago South Side or Harlem, areas that have been kind of distinguished by the extreme outcomes there, whether it's poverty, unemployment, or crime. These areas have been studied in depth from a sociological perspective. I actually draw on this significantly with my own work on tribal reservations. I teach urban inequality as well as my kind of, I call it my keystone course, the Indigenous Sociology course, which is being formally added to the course catalog currently. Essentially, we go through a kind of bread and butter sociological review of essential theories while tying them to Indigenous communities in present day, providing kind of context for the outcomes we see in tribal communities, Indigenous communities globally speaking, and just trying to bring those into the discourse of sociology broadly speaking, given that these areas have traditionally been reserved for other disciplines, including, history, anthropology, etc. Now, in my own work, I focus extensively, as I said, on tribal reservations. I study Broadly speaking, processes of adversity and resilience. I often say that ironically, kind of in reference to my class, the urban inequality, I am an urban inequality scholar, but I study rural tribal reservations, like the area I am from in the far northern part of the state. I have right now a book manuscript I'm working on that looks at prisoner reentry from the perspective of tribal fathers with criminal records. These are men who, in many ways, parallel marginalized men found in, for example, Chicago's South Side, yet they come from a radically different spiritual orientation, cultural background, and really just different world entirely, a world I'm from, and that I am very honored to kind of be able to bring into the discourse on adversity, but more importantly, resilience, because these are processes I hope to highlight in tandem. Now, I also work significantly on missing and murdered Indigenous peoples. I'm actually the lead researcher for the California Department of Justice as we seek to really establish the scope and severity of missing and murdered in the state, but more importantly, establish key points of intervention for law enforcement and justice system agencies as they work with tribes in the state to really take this matter head on. So I'd be happy to answer any questions if any of these sounds interesting, but it also kind of speaks to the courses you would expect to see from me as a professor. Now, as I mentioned, went to Dartmouth College, which is back east in New Hampshire. It was very cold, lots of snow, but one of the best parts was that there was a large Native American community, Native Americans at Dartmouth. And for me, I think that no matter where you go for college, even if it's just down the road, sometimes we have kids who are from Merced proper. And actually, I always love giving them a little extra shout out, because I think you're very fortunate to have a resource like this so close to home. But no matter where you go to school, it's really important that you can find a network that can kind of help you on those days where you're homesick and, you don't want to work on your whatever professor has assigned XYZ, where you need someone just to take you outside and have some fun, go for a coffee, take a walk around campus. I think that going to events like this gives you a chance to just see what it would be like to be at a campus like UC Merced. And I am very thankful for the chance to weigh in accordingly. Now, I want to hear from some students, more importantly, so I'm going to go ahead and pass it to Angela.
Hello, thank you, Blythe George, Dr. George. Yes, my name is Angela Roberts, and I'm the president of the Native and Indigenous Student Coalition. It's a club here on the UC Merced campus. As the president, I have many duties. I was thinking about this question that they asked me to answer for all of you. I find myself as a facilitator sometimes, a coordinator. I learn lessons and teamwork all the time. Just a little bit of everything is kind of what I'm doing. I've been doing this for 2 semesters now, and I love it. It's a smaller club right now. We're trying to add to our club, so we would love to see you in the future, and it's nice to see you this evening as well. I am currently working with my club members. We're working on outreach, so that's something that we're really passionate about, is reaching out to natives, especially in California, and just making connections with you and saying, hey, we're here for you. If you have any questions about the campus or the school or our club, we would love to help either answer them, or if we don't know the answer, direct you to the person that knows the answer. What I found in being at this campus is that the opportunities are endless. So as ambitious as you are is as far as you'll go. I mean, if the sky's the limit is how I see it. So there's amazing opportunities here. And one of the things I really like as a club here is I didn't really plan on being the president of the club. It just kind of happened. And so it's just kind of taught me that, 2 years ago, I was on the other side of this. I was a student coming to these diversity series before I started going to school here. And now I'm moving up and doing big things and making really good connections and really enjoying my time with the community here on campus, the Native community, just the community altogether. And the faculty is great. It's just an all around really great experience at this campus. It is a little bit of a smaller campus, which is, I think, very beneficial because it gives us the opportunity to be a part of this campus and kind of for me, I feel like we're helping it grow, like whatever contributions you want to make at this campus, you're setting it, the path that's leading to the growth of this campus. So it's kind of unique in that way because you don't always get that at any school. So I'm really fortunate and I feel blessed to be able to be here in this position to do that. So moving on, I think that the community here is great. And that's one reason that I picked UC Merced. I love this area and I love the small town vibe. It's nice, it's peaceful, you can have the hustle bustle. If you go downtown one night, but then you can go back home, and look out your window and maybe see a green field of grass. And that, for me, that balances me out and makes me feel at home. Also, there's a lot to do in Merced. So I like to go downtown. There's some really nice restaurants and eateries that are coming up. Everything's kind of at a point where we're building a lot right now. So we went from just a few restaurants to multiple restaurants. They opened a arcade, a brewery. There's a jazz restaurant that has karaoke and open mic nights. And so it's just kind of livening up a lot. So it's really a good time to be here. So I'm happy that I can be here. Yeah, so if you have any questions, reach out to me. You're welcome to reach out, email, send a message. And I'm going to pass it on to Dustin now for the panel. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And so exciting to hear from all of our different community members, from our staff and faculty. I remember when I started in Merced in 2005, and I got to meet Dr. DeLugan in 2006 to host our very first Native American Indian education event on campus. And so that was an amazing opportunity. And it's even more exceptional to welcome new members to our community. And so I think, we wanted to make sure that you had a chance to get to talk to some students I know who are currently going through the experience. You can ask them what it's like to be at UC Merced and what their transition was like. And so I'd like to hand it over to two of our students and introduce them to you tonight to answer some questions that you might have about what it means to be a Bobcat at UC Merced. So I'm going to hand it off to our first student panelist, Jeanette, to introduce herself and talk a little bit about who she is, her major, and where she comes from.
So my name is Janet Reyes. I'm currently a second year here at UC Merced, and I'm majoring in environmental systems science. I'm kind of all over the place on campus. I used to be part of the Bobcat Farm Workers Network Alliance. We used to collaborate a lot with local Central Valley unions that advocate for farm workers' rights. I'm also part of Hermanas Unidas. That's just a coalition of sisters who just want to have a safe space and just talk about the experience of being a first generation student here at UC Merced and just being a Latina overall. And I'm also part of Phi Alpha Delta, and that's one of the largest law fraternities here on campus and in the United States. So if there's anyone who's like an aspiring lawyer and wants to go into the political fields, Phi Alpha Delta is a great way to go with that. So I would pass it along to the other students.
All right, Maricela, how about you come on and introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. My name is Maricela Vasquez Aviles. I am a fourth year majoring in public health. My indigenous culture involves I'm a Purepecha. I am from the state of Michoacan, Mexico. From my father's side, I'm Aztec.
Thank you so much, Maricela. So one of the first questions I have for the both of you is family and community are an essential part of our culture. What advice do you have for students on balancing work, school, and family obligations? Maricela, do you want to go ahead and start off?
Oh yeah, hi. So I come from a culture in which I am the middle child, so I was expected to help out my mom when she wasn't able to step in. So being the support for the family, it's a big thing in our culture. It was hard for me when I first transferred to UC Merced. My family is five hours away from where I am studying. So that distance kind of made it hard for me because at one point I felt that I felt guilty, right, leaving my family behind and not being able to support them in the way that I used to. But then I having conversations with family members and letting them know how you're feeling kind of they could support you and be like, it's okay. We understand that you have to go to study to get an education, right? Having those conversations makes it easy to understand, give your point of view to your family, as well as have listened to their point of view and kind of see like, oh, like this is something that it's not forever. It's something that we could have somehow find a solution for. So if it ever comes a point where you feel you're far away from your family, just know that we have resources out here, right? And then you could create your own family within the UC Merced community.
Thank you so much, Maricela. Jeanette, did you have anything that you wanted to add to that?
I mean, I feel like it's a first generation experience for a lot of us, but I also do share those sentiments. When I was moving out here, I did like have that like the cultural fear of just leaving my home, my family to something new. So I do share that. But you know, UC Merced, it's a small campus. You make a lot of friends and a lot of connections that just make you feel better.
Thank you so much. And so I'd like to ask some of our faculty who are still online, what courses do you teach here at UC Merced? And do you have a favorite course that you enjoy teaching and why?
Dr. George, you want to go first?
Sure. I have to fess up and say I've only taught 3 classes and 2 of them were a first time this year, but I have to say Indigenous sociology truly is my favorite class. It's something I kind of percolated on from my undergrad even. I'm someone who, I'm a Mellon May scholar, and so from undergrad, I was considering being a professor someday, and so I took parts of kind of even my favorite syllabi and emulated my favorite professors from way back when, but then built on the things that really spoke to my interests as a sociologist and what ignited my passion there. And so I try to bring all of that together in this course. And I'll have to say it seems to go over well really with the students. I think my favorite feedback is often that they think it should be mandatory for all students because they learn so much that they've never learned in any other place, that they just wish more people had access to that knowledge. So if I'm not mistaken, it's going to be on offer every fall for the next little bit. So definitely check it out if you find yourself on campus.
I want to take that class. I had already mentioned that I teach this class called Indigenous Research Indigenous Activism in the Americas. And similar, we need more Native faculty, we need more course offerings. So like Dr. George's course is really filling a real important need. And I think mine does some similar work. I try to put a lot of kind of historical context. Not every student in there really has much of an understanding about Indian country or Native American issues. And so I think anything that we can do to broaden people's understanding about that important topic, whether it's about our local community, our state, or nationally. So I really love teaching that. The other class I really like teaching, because I'm a research nerd, is ethnographic methods. And we teach it as a design course, like qualitative research design. And so again, I like that class because students can design a project around their own interests, and we can show them how they can actually, by the end of a semester, have a project that they can actually go out and do because they've thought it through all the steps throughout the course of the semester. And so those are 2 of my favorite classes to teach.
Awesome. Well, thank you both. So I know that tonight we may have some parents and educators joining us as well. And given your knowledge and experience in the classroom and with academics, how can Native and Indigenous parents and educators best support their students during college?
Well, I don't know if I have a really good answer for that, as much as, you know, I think it takes kind of like a whole team, a whole village, right? I mean, it's the faculty who care, it's the students creating a learning community in the classroom, so everybody feels included and involved and has a voice. That's part of it. It's the community outside the classroom on campus, you know, that students plug into. And then the parents have a role. I think I'm guessing just support your students, right? I know we've heard from a couple students that sometimes being far from home, especially when you're first becoming a student, can be really stressful, or you might feel like they're too far from home. And I guess just help our students, you know, settle in is going to be one important way to support them, especially in the beginning, because that's when everything is so new. And then once the students here, there's such support networks from your fellow students and clubs and orgs, and they share all kinds of tips about the classes you should take and shouldn't take and might take. And there's a lot of support broadly on campus. Maybe Blythe, you might have something better to say.
I know I can only echo all of that. I think I think families can provide a reprieve from the storm, so to speak. Not that college is too stormy, but at the same time, when you think of when you get to come home, usually maybe it's right after finals, or it's at a time where just getting a little distance lets you really appreciate how privileged you are once you're back on campus. I think sometimes it can get a little you know, so many things are due, everything's on your plate. When you get to go home, you get a chance to have a little perspective, get some laundry washed, and go back to it. I also think too, as much as you can help them come settle in, that is such an important part. But then especially if you live close, you know, finding ways to honor their needs on campus sometimes means having to you know, I'm the oldest in my family, and so I know I was their first call when something went wrong. But during my college years, they were very good about making sure I could prioritize myself and my well-being, because it's a very unique time to be able to be in college. And so particularly for our first generation students, I think that's one of the biggest things their families can do. I'm first gen myself, and that was always something I was very grateful for. Thank you for that question.
Awesome. And then we have a question from our audience tonight about, you know, about how many Native American students are there on campus attending UC Merced, and I can help respond to that one. There's about 1%, a little less than 1% of our population is Native American at the undergraduate level. But then some of the other questions I think will be best to hear from our students. You know, what are some helpful resources that you recommend for students on campus, and what kind of Native clubs and organizations are there?
Is it okay if I answer that one?
Absolutely. Go for it.
Well,
Dr.
my club is one of them, the Native and Indigenous Student Coalition. We call ourselves NISC. We are a club of 9, and when we all come together, we get a lot done. And it doesn't seem like a lot of people when you think about the number, but it's all about spirit. You know, we come together and we have good intentions, and it takes us a long ways. So that's one thing. And also, when I came on the campus, I looked for faculty that was Native, and I found some of the members that are in this meeting today, and they've been very welcoming and very helpful in my path and my journey here at the school.
Awesome. And then Maricela and Janet, do you want to add anything to that?
Sure, I could go. So when it comes to organizations and clubs on campus, I mainly try to stay with orgs who I believe that could like help me with my studies and career path. So like I mentioned before, I'm in Phi Alpha Delta, but within that organization, I've come across with other students who also have similar heritage as I am. So I honestly believe that there's people who share your heritage as long as you just go out there and explore, which is why like I'm all over the place. I'm in Hermanas Unidas. I go there with their social nights. I connect with my fellow Latinas. And then I will just go to like other events on campus. So it's just mainly going out there, having fun. And you never know, you might bump into a fellow person.
Awesome. And I guess one of the questions that everyone always has too, what do you do outside the classroom for fun when you're not, studying or maybe participating in NISC, or what are some things that you do around campus?
Just like to start.
Oh, go for it, Manisela.
So one of the things that I enjoy doing when I'm not in class or learning, it's creating a difference in my community. So I like to volunteer, either helping clean parks, volunteer at the community, volunteer on campus. I am involved with our Community Engagement Center at UC Merced. One of the coolest things that I like that we did in the fall is that we went to Yosemite National Park, and we helped preserve a indigenous land by removing all, I believe the pine cone, no, by protecting the pine cones, which is very important to the community. So we remove any unnecessary trees that could prevent the tree from growing. And then I also met some of the members from an indigenous community that was helping plant more pine cones, trees. I thought that was interesting. So not only did I get to make a difference at the Yosemite National Park, but I got to learn a little bit more of like the history of that specific area that I helped clean.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Marisela. So one of the things that oftentimes, students want to know about is, what was it like transitioning from high school or community college to UC Merced? Was that transition difficult for you? Was it really different than what you'd experienced in high school previously?
I could go. But for me, I came straight from high school. So like I mentioned before, I am a Central Valley student. So for me, the transition was like the whole application was difficult for me, because what my high school did was mainly kind of direct us to the local state school rather than like support UC Merced or like other UCs. So for me, it was kind of difficult, like filling out those questions, the essays, just overall navigating the UC process. But what I believe was most beneficial was honestly just going online and searching up different UCs webinars. I found a bunch of webinars similar to the UCs from different campuses. So that was what helped me out the best. But transitioning, it's difficult to first generation students a lot. But I found it difficult, but I'm glad that I made it through the process and found a home away from home.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Janet. And I know for a lot of us, that transition is really unique, right? Like I think you're from a small town not too far away from me. I'm from Hanford. So it's quite a change for a lot of students. So one of the things for UC though, too, I mean, and that really distinguishes the University of California is that research component. And so I was kind of wondering, maybe either from Dr. George or Dr. DeLugan, is like, what can you tell us, like, what can you explain research and why research is important for students to participate in at the university?
I'll start if you want me to. Well, research is discovery, right? It's producing new knowledge, it's asking questions that matter, and then figuring out what's the best method for that. So what topic you're interested in, whether you're interested in engineering or sociology or political science or what have you. What are the kind of questions in these fields that we are learning about? And often in our classes, we're learning fundamentals of key research in our fields on a topic, or we learn about like, how did that researcher conduct that research? Where did they go? Who did they talk to? Or where did they get their information from? One thing that I'm particularly interested in at UC Merced, and there are a number of faculty, and we call it community engaged research or community engaged scholarship. And so if you think of a lot of research, like more traditional, the researcher goes out, develops the question, creates something really wonderful, learns something new and shares it, often with the academic audience and maybe with the broader public. But if we do research with community collaboration, whether I've done a few projects with local tribes, for example, then you can do research that matters not just to the researcher, the academic, the professor or the student, but to the community itself. And finding that sweet spot where your research can assist, is a value to the community or to the people who you're trying to work with. To me, that's a really powerful kind of research, because it really means your research is relevant to the people that you want to engage and try to answer questions about what's going on in their community, maybe a problem that they're really trying to understand better, or a history of theirs that hasn't been told and what maybe they want to have it told. So community engaged research is like a subset of research that I think you might be interested in at UC Merced. And I think it's kind of a growing, approach to research. And so for some people, that's a really great way to collaborate in research. But I can't wait to hear what Dr. George has to say.
Well, gosh, I think for me, that's one of the most important parts of being at UC is that research is highly prioritized, both at the faculty, but also the student levels. We have so many amazing resources on campus to get involved in research very early on. I think the reasons are manyfold, whether it's the chance to, I just taught what I called a methods palooza in my class today, where we reviewed the methods of 8 different articles in preparation for their final assignment, where they will get a chance to kind of draft a research proposal for an unanswered sociological question. And that is knowledge production, even at the undergraduate level, getting a chance to synthesize and bring together a great many threads to create something new, I think is, to me, one of my favorite ways to learn, and especially one of my favorite things to teach. And at a UC, compared to perhaps a different kind of university, you're getting direct access to those opportunities very early on. I know that also, if you're a student who, it's kind of early yet, so you don't need to be thinking about what could happen after college just yet. But at the same time, if you do have any aspirations that might require a more advanced degree, research opportunities at the undergraduate level are one of the easiest ways to make yourself incredibly competitive in an applicant pool someday down the line. So there's many important reasons to do it, but finding a place that fosters that and also has the resources for it. I think UC Merced has many, many opportunities and makes those opportunities available to students in ways that aren't cost prohibitive. And if anything, they're paying you to do some really fun stuff. So, it's one of the best parts of the UC experience, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you said it excellent, both Dr. Dooley and Dr. George. I mean, just you're joining a community of scholars, and that really is what separates us apart, is that you not only get to learn in the classroom, but also to produce your own ideas, to act upon those, to research those ideas and questions, and really make sure that your voice is heard. And as Native scholars, I think that's so important that we have an opportunity within that space. And so I just want to thank all of our panelists and just end with one final question, which is, if you had one piece of advice for incoming students, both as students and or faculty, what would it be? And I see Jeanette looks like she's ready to go, so I'm going to hand it off to her first.
I would just say, just do it. Don't be afraid. For me, I was afraid to commit to UC Merced, but I'm glad that I did it. So I would just say that, just do it. Don't be afraid.
I would say, don't be afraid of your professors. Don't be afraid to ask questions. We're all really pretty approachable, but sometimes, maybe there's just a built-in sort of like, I'm not sure if I should approach them or not. We all have office hours weekly for our students, where we just block time for students to come in and talk with us and let us know if something's going on. You have a question about work, you need some help, you want some clarification, you just want to talk about where you're heading in life and sometimes your professors can know people and can help kind of guide you along the way. So don't be afraid of your professors.
I'll piggyback on that. I remember a high school professor saying, you don't know how they're going to be, or a high school teacher, excuse me, saying, you don't know how professors are going to be. They'll never answer your questions. They're twice as hard as I am. And it could not have been further from the truth. We can be a hoot sometimes. Although I would say the foibles of a professor, if you want to see someone fumble with technology as a day job, come to my class. But also, wherever you wind up, enjoy your summer. I think that there's so much pressure right now placed on making the right decision. Take some pressure off and know that wherever you go, you're going to get a chance to have a nice senior spring and an even better summer. So take a chance to savor it well.
Awesome. Maricela, any last words of advice for incoming Bobcats?
If I were to give you an advice, it would be your own advocate. Learn if there's anything that you need from the campus, whichever campus you choose, make sure that they listen to your needs. And learn how to advocate for yourself. Make sure that everybody's aware of your needs, because by advocating for yourself, you might be also advocating for others who are afraid to speak up. Letting others know what it is that you need to accomplish your educational journey. It's very important, because sometimes other students or even faculty staff might not know what is going on or might not know how to support you. And by you speaking up, it gives them an idea how they could better help you out complete your academic journey.
Okay, thank you so much for those words of advice for our students, our staff, and our faculty. We really appreciate it. I'm going to hand it off to Ricky to close us out for tonight's program.
Thank you so much, Dustin, and thank you to everyone who has presented this evening. We would like to go ahead and move on to our next update here, May 1st. If you have not yet marked your calendar, mark it now or mark your phone so that you don't forget this important deadline. May 1st is the deadline to submit your SIR, that statement of intent to register. That is a critical step in your next steps to becoming a Bobcat. So on May 1st or anytime before then, now till then, you can go ahead and submit that SIR, get yourself committed to UC Merced. We would love to have you join our beautiful campus later on this fall. And so once again, just be checking your emails, check out all of our websites. We have links on how you can do all of these things. And of course, if you ever need help or have questions, you can always join us on any of these other webinars and ask those questions live here. But we also will give you some contact information in just a moment at the end of our presentation wrap up here. All right, before we move on, I do also want to tell you a little bit about another program that we are offering. So it's called the Bobcat Den, and what you can find there is you'll be able to learn more anything about the class of 2027. So if you haven't yet received that invitation, be checking for that in your email inbox soon. There's also a website for that program that we can go ahead and drop for you into the chat box, and you can go ahead and click there and take a quick sneak peek at that before you get the invitation. Some things that you'll be able to do is actually talk to fellow Bobcats. You'll be able to get peer-to-peer information, get your questions answered. Once again, we're all about getting those questions answered for you before you do your SIR and commit to UC Merced. You will also be able to make friendships before you arrive here, before you get a chance to maybe come and do a campus tour or go through the orientation. Any of those things, you'll be able to get that critical information in the Bobcat Den. So once again, be taking a look out for that coming in your inbox sometime soon if you haven't yet already received it. The next bit of info I'd like to share with you, again, super exciting information. We are taking our show on the road for regional receptions. So we've already had a couple of these in Northern California, but Southern California, we haven't forgotten about you. We will see you later this weekend on Saturday, April 15th, as well as Los Angeles on the 16th. So on your screen, it does give you a little bit of information, and I can give you a bit more. So you'll be able to speak to faculty that are present. We will have speakers there as well. We have tons of tabling events there as well. So you can take a look at different majors, academic programs that we are offering. Get your financial aid questions answered there live on the spot. Anything else that you have questions about, we do have a full road crew ready to go to get to those questions. So definitely take a look over in that chat box. We will make sure that we drop that link for you there. You can take a look again at the agenda of what's being prepared for you on those 2 days in Southern California and get yourself registered for one of those coming up. A couple more programs that we do want to offer you. Go ahead and grab your smartphone now. You can go ahead and scan those QR codes. We have 2 other events that are happening throughout this month through the 28th of April. They are filling up quickly is what I've been told. So make sure that you do use those QR codes and get yourself over to those websites, or just go ahead and check our chat box. I'm sure we're dropping those behind the scenes as well. The information on your screen kind of gives you a breakdown. The difference between Inside UC Merced and Experience UC Merced is that the Inside program actually is an overnight opportunity for you. All the other points are listed there. You'll get to experience living on campus. You'll actually get to also go into a lecture and experience that classroom environment. You'll get to have lunch on our beautiful campus. You can also take a campus tour. And like I said, those QR codes are there for you. So go ahead and hop on over and get yourself signed up there. But again, spots are filling up quickly. So definitely take a look and see if you can get yourself signed up for one of those upcoming events. Lastly, most importantly, this is the biggest event of the year. It is called Bobcat Day. It is coming up quickly. It's just over a week away on April 22nd. On your screen now, you do see all the details there, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. We do start promptly at 9. We will have a very special welcome message from our very own chancellor, so you don't want to miss out on that. Go ahead and hop over to that website that we will also drop for you into the chat box. Our full day's agenda is listed there on the website. And we also have a very special event for you that we are hosting that day for the Native American population. We are hosting a reception for you all where we will have refreshments for you there, but you'll also have the great opportunity to mingle with faculty and staff, as well as other community members who are present during Bobcat Day. So what a special opportunity. It's just like this webinar, but even bigger and in person. Once again, we will go ahead and drop that information over into the chat box so you can get yourself registered for Bobcat Day. A couple other features that day is we will have financial aid available to answer those important questions. You will be able to submit that SIR, your statement of intent to register, in person. We love to celebrate with our new Bobcats and your families and loved ones who attend with you. So we look forward to that as well. Lots of photo ops that day, tons of performances from our dance groups, from our cheer groups, and many musical ensembles, including our own university band. Once again, get yourself signed up for that right away. And before we wrap up this evening, this is also critical information for you. Grab your smartphone one last time. We do have another QR code for you that will go over to the events page. Every event that we are hosting or have already hosted will be listed there. If you unfortunately have missed one of our previous webinars, don't worry, we can catch you on YouTube with an instant on-demand replay. You will find those links on the events page, as well as all of the other links that we mentioned tonight for all of the upcoming virtual and in-person events. We also have some social media networks that you can follow us on. TikTok is our newest and most fun at this point, so definitely take a look there if you would like to see an inside look at our beautiful campus, as well as fellow Bobcats. We also have Facebook there, Twitter, Instagram, and again, that is the UC Merced main YouTube page. On the events page, you'll actually get over to our webinars and our instant replays. One last bit of information on the screen, you do see one of our host information there, Amanda. She was speaking to us earlier tonight. Go ahead and take a quick photo and you can reach out to her as well if you have any other specific questions tonight. Once again, thank you so much for joining. Thank you to all of my wonderful colleagues who have been on this wonderful event tonight. It's always so much fun to spend an evening with you. My name is Ricky Hill, the e-recruiter here at UC Merced. I am so excited that you were here and I look forward to seeing you at Bobcat Day or one of our future receptions. Make sure to get registered right away. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. Have a wonderful night.